could you please let us know the speech objectives that Brian has, the number of his speech, the title of his speech, and his timing constraints?
Too many projects. Okay, Brian's going to be speaking on project number 6, vocal variety. That means not to maintain his voice in a mundane, dull way. His objectives are to use volume, pitch, rate, and quality to reflect and add meaning and interest to your message. Use pauses to enhance your message. Use vocal variety smoothly and naturally, not like what I just did. And the timing constraints are 5 to 7 minutes. Will there be enough time for you?
Sure.
Okay.
5 to 7 minutes.
And the title of his speech is Instill the Joy of Reading.
And Kathy, will you be timing the speech?
Yes, I will.
Great.
Thank you.
Capital Captivators, please, another warm welcome for our second speech. Instilling the joy of reading. Brian Lynch. Brian Lynch, instilling the joy.
There was a great big papa bear, a medium regular-sized mama bear, and a little bitty baby bear. You're going to eat this all up. Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, and guests. Returning to Toastmasters after a sabbatical of a year or so, give or take, figure I should introduce myself to the members who don't know who I am. My name is Brian Lynch. I have been a Toastmaster since this club was formed in early 2007, and it took a sabbatical for, like I said, a year or so. I am married to my wife, Lisa. She is a registered nurse. She has 4 daughters who are all grown. We also are the legal custodian, or legal guardians for our granddaughter, Sophia, who just turned 5 this year and is in preschool and will be starting kindergarten. And she's the joy of our life and makes us laugh every day. And we're expecting our first grandson by her youngest daughter, who's back in Provo, Utah. Her husband's attending BYU. I am also a member of the Benevolent and Protective Order of Elks, and a past exalted ruler for the Roseville Lodge, which was a major time consumer for me for a number of years. I was going through the chairs, as they say. So that's who I am. So I came back and decided it was time to get back into the Toastmasters and brush off the speaking skills. And I was talking with Avis, and she said, "You need to get a speech. Where are you at? Have you gotten your CC yet or not?" And I says, "I think I still need a few because I was working on the leadership side of it before I left." So went through and looked, what do I need next? Speech number 6, vocal variety. When I thought of that, it reminded me of my granddaughter, and speaking of when do you use vocal variety when you're speaking in your normal life? First one, reading stories to Sophia. Goldilocks and the 3 Bears, as I opened my speech with, and she loved that. And she'd get involved in the story, and she knew who was speaking and the different characters. The other one that I used that really stood out was when I was doing the Goldilocks, we're doing the 3 Little Pigs and the Big Bad Wolf. Ooh, don't howl, Papa, that's scary. So I can't howl when I do the Big Bad Wolf. But it's using different vocal variety, and when you're talking or telling a joke or telling a story, and reading the books to her from the childhood books, which is I love to read. And personally, I think that instilling the joy of reading into our youth as a mentor, parent, grandparent, aunt, uncle, whatever, I think that is a great responsibility that we have. And if you can instill the joy of reading, it opens up the world to the youth. Another thing is speaking here in Toastmasters or wherever you may be speaking, getting up in front of people, and you have to give a speech. You can have the audience bored or engaged. If they're bored, they're not going to get the message. So you want to engage them. if you use vocal variety, the pauses and something to keep it exciting, to keep their interest drawn in, you engage them, they'll get the message. An example, I have satellite radio in my car. One of the radio stations is classic radio. So this is back in the 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, a little bit into the 60s, where they had the old family radio shows, Dragnet, the murder mysteries, and the comedies with Jack Benny, and all this stuff that is, they're building a story, and all they have is their voice. There's no TV screen, so the only thing is you visualize it in your head. So if you can instill the same thing from reading and get them to be engaged where they're visualizing the stories or whatever it is that they're reading, then reading is fun, and that's when they get the joy from it. Kind of a flip one was the Dragnet radio show. Jack Webb came up with the idea for Dragnet. He wanted a cop story, but he didn't want all the emotion. So he told the actors, you're going to do it, but there's no emotion. You just talk, deadpan, boom, 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 go through the whole thing. For some reason it worked. It drew the people in, probably because all the other radio shows were all this action drama and noise and sound effects and everything, but they kept it as a monotone. So it kept them apart from the rest of them. But most of the time, if all the other radio shows had been just boring, monotonistic, it wouldn't have stood out. He did stand out because it was something different. So he wanted to do something to differentiate there. So when you're speaking, you want to paint a picture with your voice. For instance, yesterday, my wife and I saw the wind. We were both home. I had done something to my back and couldn't sleep the night before, so slept in, got my back relaxed, saw the wind blowing, said, this is great kite flying weather. So we went up to Walmart, spent $2.96 on 2 kites. I got Cars, and she got the Disney princesses. We went out to the park, and there was enough wind, we didn't even have to move off the blanket. She sat on the blanket and flew her kite, got mine up there, went all the way off, but the wind would blow through, whooshing through, and the kite would flutter up, and it'd veer off to the side, and you have to pull back on it, boom, it's diving down to the bottom. Pull back, give it a little more slack, and you take off, and just keep it up there and doing loops with it, and had a blast. If you want a good date with a friend or your significant other, cheap, under $3 at Walmart, you can get 2 kites, go out, have a blast. But if you can describe something and use your voice to paint the picture, that will get the kids engaged when you're reading a story to them. So that's the importance of using vocal variety. That's Toastmasters.